everyone, it's Lou Collins. Thank you for joining me. Now today I want to work with the new Creative Stamping issue 133 that is just on the market. I adore this issue, not only because I love Creative Stamping magazine anyway, I always subscribe to it, but it's also got myself in. So I have designed this fantastic textures cover mount. A cover mount is what we call kind of the free gift that you get with the magazine. And this month you're going to get a full A4 sheet of stamps, clear stamps, in the typography range. So you've got all sorts of letters, dictionary excerpts here. You've got typewriters, beautiful butterflies as well. I just adore it. There's so much in here. Then you've also got the stencil set. Now, two of them are background stencils. So you've got your alphabets here, you've got your full-on background just on this side, and then you've got your individual alphabet there. So if you actually wanted to spell out a word, you could use that and just move your stencil to spell the word that you want. Great for kind of doing something like a personalized card if you want to put a name on, for example. And then you've also got the stencils that are going to, well, you have got the coffee ring here. That was one of my most popular stencils in the textures range that sold out very quickly, was the coffee rings. So you've got one in here, but the butterflies and the dragonfly actually work alongside the stamps. As you can see there, they fit absolutely perfectly to add colour behind them. So we're going to be doing a bit of that today as well. I'm going to create kind of a vintage feel card. We're going to do some masking, we're going to do some stenciling and stamping as well. Lots of techniques thrown in here. So stay tuned for all of these. And of course, as always, if you like videos like this showing the process of card making or paper craft, make sure you subscribe to the CraftStash YouTube channel and give this video a thumbs up. Okay, let's get started. So I've got myself a plain white card base, and I'm actually going to start by working onto an ivory cardstock. So I'm going to cut this down to size. Now the reason I'm going to work onto an ivory cardstock is because I'm actually going to take this and make it a bit vintage looking, with some browns, some neutral tones in there, some nice soft kind of, yeah, vintage colours. And then I'm going to have accents of blue, and there'll be the majority of the accents, but there'll be one or two that's red as well, so it's going to look really fun and retro. So I've just marked my cardstock with my pokey tool so I can create myself a mat first of all. Now I already know that I want to have this big typewriter in the centre, probably with the sentiment. We've got love here, so that would be perfect, because then I can add a red love heart as that red accent. So the word love stamped inside there. So that's those two. So I'll do those last because they'll go over the top of everything else, probably on white paper so it stands out from the cream or the ivory here. So I need to do my background, and that's going to be these butterflies. So I'm going to probably stencil actually first of all the colour down and then stamp over the top of the colour. So let's stencil some of these butterflies before I get to work on the rest of the background, making it more vintage with those browns. I'm going to go in with some blues and greens. So this is Mermaid Lagoon, and I'm going to work through the stencil. In fact, before I do that, I'm just going to put a little bit of tape over the edge of my card here, just where I'm going to be inking, because I don't want to catch the edge of the cardstock here. So I'm going to go in the middle of the stencil, just catching the antenna there as well. And it could be helpful actually if you use smaller stencil brushes rather than these larger ink blending brushes. If you find, like me, you may well catch the edges of some of the other designs. So this is a stencil brush. You can get these from CraftStash. We'll make sure they're linked down below for you. And they're a smaller brush for getting into the smaller area. It's perfect when you've got a stencil like this, where everything's quite close together. Just blending that in. I don't want this colour to be too deep. Blending that into the blue like so. And because I'm going onto a pearlescent card, also the ink is kind of going to sit on top for a while before it dries. So I don't want to be brushing that ink back off. I want to make sure it stays there. So just a thin layer. Nothing too heavy. And I think what I might also do is just touch around the edge with a brown. Okay, let's lift this up, and you can see there we've got the perfect impression. Now I'm going to choose another couple of images from this and also do the same, coming out from where that typewriter is going to be, but I will clean my stencil up first. Before I do any more than these 2 butterflies, I am going to stamp the butterflies inside, just so that I can get an idea for how it's starting to look. So for this, I'm going to take a solid black ink. VersaFine will be perfect, and I'll take each of the butterflies that these stencils coordinate with. So that's the largest butterfly first of all, placing that over the top and picking that up with my stamp platform. Obviously I didn't position that very well. I've got a little bit of an overlap at the top, but I'm not worried about that. That will all blend in once we start adding this vintage look to the rest of the card. So I'm just going to clean off my stamp a little bit and do the other butterfly. Now, because I'm working on pearlized cardstock, I am going to heat set this to make sure the inks are all completely dry and not going to smudge anywhere. To enable me to really visualise how this card is going to go, where I need more stamping and stenciling, I'm going to do my top layer now. This is just going to be black VersaFine, again onto white cardstock. This is the typewriter, which is kind of the focal image of this whole set. It's actually a smaller version of a typewriter that I had within the textures range a while ago. That was way back to the first collection. But look at that, isn't that just absolutely beautiful? So I'll be fussy cutting this out. Now, the word love that I intended on putting in here will only just fit. So I'm actually going to stamp it down here, cut it out, and then stick it on again. It won't matter that it's on raised up on pads or anything like that. Okay, now I've got my typewriter cut out. I can see that's covering up quite a bit of the butterflies. I could bring it down here and maybe redo another butterfly, but I think I'll stick to there. And what I think I'll do is have the blue in the centre from behind the typewriter fading out to the brown on the outside, and I'm going to do some of that with stamps as well. I'll do some more stamping, but I'm also going to do some of that with some more of the stencils. So let's just take this stencil here, and I think if I start here, so in one corner, let's take the Mermaid Lagoon as the blue and stencil through. Don't need to worry too much about the centre, because of course the centre's going to be pretty much covered up, but fading that out by not reapplying any ink to my stencil brush and just lightening that as it goes. There's a little bit more ink now, and again just letting the ink run out as I work my way outwards. Then I'll take the brushed corduroy, and any brown would work. This is quite a yellow brown actually, and just do this on the outside corner and work this into the blue there. Now just lifting that up, hopefully we've got a nice fade from the blue through to the brown. So now I'm going to just clean my stencil, because each time I do this I'm going to actually have my colours going from blue in a different corner, and I don't want to mix my colours. So now I'm going to go to the next top one and put it against where I've just been. So about there will probably work. And do the same again, but this time going from this corner. So my blue is down here. I'm not going to go over the butterfly, I'm going to go round the butterfly. Now around the outside edge of this I'm going to do a darker brown. This one is Walnut Stain. I'm still being careful because this is a pigment ink that's been going onto a pearlized cardstock, so I don't want to smudge anything while it's drying. It does take longer than usual paper or cardstock to dry. And now, to be able to gauge where my typewriter is going to go, I'm actually going to stamp the typewriter onto my background in a much paler colour. So I'm going to put this down just with probably the brushed corduroy. So somewhere like there will be perfect. And now the additional stamps, so I can use some more butterflies. There's the dragonfly, there's florals here, there's cogs and gears, and I can start stamping these. Now I'm going to use a smaller stamping block for this because they're little stamps and I'm going to be moving quite quickly. You can see it's really starting to build up lots of layers behind where the typewriter's going to be. I can see there's a little bit of a space here, so I'll find something to pop in there. We've got some brilliant ink splats here that are perfect for these smaller spaces. Now again, because I've gone on to that pearlized cardstock, the pigment ink doesn't dry very quickly at all. So to prevent me smudging anything, I'm just going to go over the centre here with a clear embossing powder and just seal that in. Now this will emboss most of the card front because I've done the stenciling in the background as well, but I'm quite happy for that to happen. So I'm using a big piece of adhesive foam on the back and making sure I place my typewriter right over where I stamped so that you can't see that outline. Look at that. And because it's on the white, it really does stand out. And I'm also going to place these dictionary words in the center there, and I'm going to put those on with a black foam tape to make them stand out nicely. Now I quite like that the wording overlaps the typewriter page edge there. Looks fun. We've got the glossiness of the embossing powder as well. Like I said, I do want to add one red embellishment to this just to make everything stand out. So I'm going to stick it to my card base and then decide where that's going to go. So I inked a little bit of cardstock, just scrap white cardstock with the red that I wanted to use. I've just cut that out by hand, inked around the edge again with the brown, so the walnut stain, and I think that's just going to sit perfectly on there with a little touch of foam tape. So let me know what you think of this magazine. You can find it linked down below. It's available to purchase from CraftStash, and of course all your most popular newsagents and supermarkets will have it in stock too. But like I say, we do have a link down below to CraftStash for you. If you're a VIP member there, of course, you're going to get your 10% off too. So there's the finished card. Hopefully you like some of the techniques that I've used within this video, and if you do, make sure you subscribe to the CraftStash YouTube channel so you can have more videos on tap like this. And we think you're also really going to like this video just here. Take care everybody. I'll see you again very soon.